Today on 7th Circle Gaming, we're swapping city building for building space stations in X4 Foundations. And we begin in our usual way with full disclosure. And pause the video and read through all of these if you'd like to. Otherwise, we'll jump into our first screenshot. And like we usually do around here, we're going to share with you what the world looks like on its own and talk a bit about the user interface. Obviously, the majority of the play space in the game is devoted to showing the player the visually impressive game that X4 is, and the user interface is mostly on the lower left-hand corner of the screen. This is obviously the player walking on a space station that they've docked at. And in our second screenshot, we're going to share with you what the game looks like when the player is in their ship and just sort of flying around. Now, a couple of changes, obviously, in this screenshot from the previous one are the addition of a radar location screen, the cockpit overlay, and an additional item on the lower right-hand corner of the screen, which is more or less the targeted item information. Other than that, we would just add that the game continues to be visually impressive. One reason that we chose to share with you this particular screenshot. In our next one, we're going to share with you the fact that yes, X4 can be viewed either in a first-person perspective or in a third person, as we're looking at here. Again, emphasizing the visually impressive nature of X4. Next screenshot, we're going to share with you what one of the other major portions of the game looks like, and players will be spending a significant amount of time here. This is going to be the trading screen, where players will be, well, as the name implies, trading items that they've purchased with vendors on the various stations that they discover, attempting to maximize their profit, etc., etc. Now, in our next screenshot, we're going to share with you, we're looking at the overworld map, for want of a better phrase. Players could also describe this as the galaxy map, because it shows what the galaxy that the player inhabits looks like, and players will be able to access additional information about the different space stations that they've encountered, and perform a couple of other different interactions. Moving right along then to our first chapter proper, which is, as always, Immersion. Here, X4 has earned, in its base version, a 3 out of 15. The game will be attempting to utilize presentation to get players invested into its game world. As we already said, the game will use first or third person perspective to get players invested, and it's visually impressive on its own. The game will also be utilizing statistics focus to get players invested into its in-game world, in the sense that in-game objects have statistics attached to them for players to examine and optimize, mostly in the form of trading, or the statistics about their particular ship. As such, there is a fair amount of player agency available in the game, in the sense that the player's choice as player may play a major role in the in-game world, although the player doesn't have the opportunity to customize their character in any way. They're basically stuck with whatever the start conditions that they choose to play with. And with that, we're going to move right along to difficulty, and here X4 has earned a 2 out of 15. Now, the game does claim it can be played with a gamepad or keyboard and mouse. However, from all of our evaluation sessions, we would say that it cannot be played exclusively with either. Even with a gamepad, the player must utilize the keyboard or a mouse for additional functions or to make the game a little bit easier on themselves. Now, this could be alleviated by modifying the key bindings, but of course we don't do that during our evaluations. There is an extensive tutorial provided by the game, so that is another plus for it. And with that, let's move on. And here we ask lasting appeal. What is it that's going to keep the game installed on hard drives, and what's going to keep players playing through the game? Here, X4 has earned a 3 out of 15. There are a significant number of mods available, and we would very much welcome any opinions about mods that the game really benefits from in the comments section below. There's also a substantial amount of DLC available. Again, if there is a DLC that players really believe is important to optimizing the appeal for the game, please comment that below, and I'll be happy to take a second look at the game with the recommended mods and DLC. Additionally, we have experienced that the game expects a long play session to experience progress. And with that, we're going to move on and compile everything into our final and overall score. Overall, X4 in its base version has earned a 2.66 out of 15. We would assert that the game consider the necessity of mods to be a contentious issue. It is an open-ended game with a fairly limited story. There is a significant amount of DLC available for the game, so that is another plus for it. However, what we've experienced is that each start condition really seems to begin in a very similar manner with trading until the player is able to really advance into their chosen profession. In a couple of subjective statements, here we have found that a keyboard and mouse is certainly suggested because, well, the game, as we said earlier, even if the player is utilizing a gamepad, the keyboard and mouse are certainly recommended to optimize the access to certain functions. One more thing that we would add, which is highly subjective, is that if there is a cardinal sin for the game, it is that it expects a fair amount of player self-immersion. That players must get themselves invested in the game. The game isn't going to necessarily provide them that immersion. And on that note, we will just say thank you very much for watching all the way to the end. Remember to comment any mods or DLC that is really recommended in the comments section, and we'll see you on the next video from 7th Circle Gaming. Goodbye.